What is up, guys? Welcome to Nolan Talks. It's been maybe about a week since I last recorded a podcast. It has been an eventful day for LSU football. A lot of crazy stuff is going on in the world right now. But yeah, LSU. There's great news for LSU, man. We just hired a new offensive coordinator, new passing game coordinator. It is Jake Peetz will be the offensive coordinator, and DJ Mangus will be our passing game coordinator. These were apparently Coach Orgeron's. Those were his guys. He went to Coach Joe Brady at the Panthers and said, hey, who are some guys who could coach this offense? And he said, hey, hire Jake Peetz and hire DJ Mangus. And Coach Joe brought them in today for an interview, and they left with jobs at LSU. So it's great news for LSU. I'm really excited for these guys to be here. It should be interesting. It should be fun to watch next season. Let's talk about Jake Peetz a little bit, though. He's a young coach. He's 37 years old. He's from Nebraska, played defensive back at Nebraska, which should be pretty interesting considering he's coaching the offense and he has a defensive background. But he's coached in both the NFL and college. He was a defensive assistant at UCLA. That's how he started out. Then for about 5 years, he was a scout for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And which is pretty cool because that means he can kind of evaluate some talent. I mean, he did it for 5 years, so I assume he was pretty decent at his job and he wasn't getting fired or nothing like that. He also has ties to Coach Sean McVay with the LA Rams. They both were together in Washington, and he was a quarterbacks coach for the Raiders too, which is pretty impressive. But Derek Carr, I think he had been in 3 Pro Bowls. So, I mean, Jake was there. Jake Peetz was there. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but Jake Peetz was there, and he coached him up. So, that's pretty cool. He coached a Pro Bowl quarterback. He also coached at Alabama in 2018, and since then he's been in Carolina. He was the running backs coach with Christian McCaffrey, which is pretty cool. And this past season he coached the quarterbacks. He also worked with Joe Brady, which is pretty cool. Joe Brady, I guess, kind of put him on to that job. Jake Peetz was also going to be the offensive coordinator for who's the coach? I can't think of the offensive coordinator. Josh McDaniels for the New England Patriots. He was going to be his offensive coordinator if he were to accept that job in Indianapolis, but that never happened. So, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty exciting stuff. I mean, this guy, he's kind of got a reputation around the league and around college too. Like, this guy can coach some offense, and I mean, Joe Brady kind of said, hey, hire this guy as your offensive coordinator, and Coach O listened. So it should be interesting to watch. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I love this hire. I mean, first off, he's a young coach who has something to prove. I mean, I think that's number one for me. He's 37 years old, like I said earlier, and he's never called offensive plays before. He's coached a lot of quarterbacks. He's coached running backs. He's actually coached some defense, and he's scouted before, so he knows a lot about football. I think he also has 6 kids, fun fact, so he knows how to deal with stress. But, he's got a lot to prove. He's never called offensive plays before. I mean, I'm sure he's called offensive plays, but he's never been a full-time coordinator. And, Joe Brady last year was his first year as a passing game coordinator, but we all know he was calling the plays for LSU. I won't say always, but he was calling the plays for LSU. For the most part. He was also helping Steve Ensminger scheme up some plays, which, was part of his job, and they both worked together, and it worked out great. So it's not like anything bad, but Jake Peetz, first time calling plays, he's got something to prove, so I'm really excited about that. He's a young coach, so he's probably going to relate better to, Scott Linehan and Steve Ensminger when it comes to recruiting, which is also another great thing about this hire, and I'm pretty excited to see. Coached a lot of good NFL players. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Derek Carr, Christian McCaffrey, I don't know if last season, I don't know what his stats are. I should look them up, but, I mean, he was probably the best running back in the league last year, top 3 for sure. Coached him at the running back position, which is pretty exciting because, I mean, our running backs kind of were okay this past season, and I think that it'll be good for an offensive coach to get in there who has a background when it comes to coaching running backs, especially a great running back like Christian McCaffrey. John Emery and Ty Davis Price will pick up some knowledge as well as the other young cats we got in there. they'll pick up some knowledge that maybe can only benefit them. And I'm pretty excited to see him. What I'm most excited about with this hire is obviously he's going to impact our quarterbacks, but he's going to kind of touch the whole offense. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how he works with like the running backs and the quarterbacks primarily, because that's kind of his background, and it should be interesting. And also like he comes from a defensive like perspective. You know, he played corner at Nebraska, and he coached his first coaching job was with a college where he coached like special teams and coached defense. So, you know, I think that, hell, man, if you have an overall knowledge of the game, that's only going to benefit you. You know, he's not just a strictly offensive guy. He can see the both sides of the football field. You know, if you have a great perspective on the defense, that's going to only help you on offense, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's going to be interesting to see him as the offensive coordinator. I think it's a great hire. Obviously, I wanted Jeff Grimes, but Jeff Grimes is actually at Baylor right now. Shout out to my man Dave Aranda for stealing him from us. But I like this hire. There's nothing wrong with this hire. I actually watched a YouTube video of him kind of talking about his routine at Carolina and, you know, talk about his family. That's how I found out he had 6 kids. But I really like this hire. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier, the incoming true freshman quarterback, he actually enrolls Friday. Apparently, there's family ties with him and Coach Peetz. So I don't know if it's Coach Peetz or Pets. I can't pronounce it right. I'm gonna go with Peetz from now on. Okay. And apparently there's family ties, and Nussmeier even tweeted how he's pretty pumped to have Jake in there. So yeah, man, I really love this hire. The only thing that kind of concerns me are he's never called plays before. You know, there's gonna be some growing pains. I don't know how he's going to react with these young players. I don't know how he's going to relate to these guys. Going to get these guys to, you know, work hard and whatnot. But he's got the NFL background, which is going to be great for the players. They're going to see that. You know, he coached and worked with all these, you know, NFL stars and stuff. Maybe they're going to work harder. He knows what to do. He knows how to scout. He knows what scouts are looking for. That's going to be great for him. But he has never called plays before. And another thing is too, like, he's a young coach, and it's just how it is in the coaching world. When these young coaches get these offensive coordinator positions, defensive coordinator positions, and they move on within about a year or two. So I don't expect this hire to be a long-term hire. I really don't. This guy seems like an NFL guy, almost like doing the same Joe Brady situation as far as, you know, Joe Brady came from the NFL, went to LSU for one season, had a perfect season, and then Now he's going to get the pick of the litter when it comes to the NFL head coaching jobs. I mean, he was the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers this past season, and then now he's only 31 years old, which is kind of crazy. But now every head coaching gig is going after Joe Brady, which is absolutely awesome, and you love to see it. I mean, he's only 31 years old, which is, in 2 years, this guy's life has absolutely changed. Let's just be honest. But let's continue to talk about the coordinator position for LSU football. We also hired DJ Mangus. He's our passing game coordinator. He's taking over that same role as Scott Linehan, also the same role as Joe Brady. More ties to Joe Brady. They actually played in college together. They went to William and Marion. I don't know if that's like a premier like education school, but I think it is, which is actually pretty cool because, well, it's great to have that. They're, you know, smart people. They can, you know, coach up an offense. And these guys, they also work together for, I mean, DJ Mangus and Joe Brady have worked together for a long time. It seems, you know, to start out their careers, and he was the I think he was an offensive analyst last year with LSU, or in 2019 with LSU. So he's seen, you know, Coach Brady's scheme. I'm sure they like to run the same things. They were together in Carolina together. I'm sure that these three guys, Joe Brady, Jake Peetz, Pets, DJ Mangus, these guys are going to run a similar offense wherever they're at. Let's just be honest with that. I think it's so cool that the Jake Pets and DJ Mangus, they're kind of a package deal. They're kind of coming together, which is going to be so cool. I know the salary got announced. Jake Pets is going to be making, I think it's $1.5 million, and then DJ Mangus will be making a little under $1 million a year. And I'm excited. I mean, they're both young guys. I think DJ Mangus is 31 years old. He's in his 30s, early 30s. Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. He can only be better than Scott Linehan. Scott Linehan was not a good coach. He was brought in to call a red zone offense, and he just was not good at that. He couldn't relate to the kids this past season. He was too damn old. we need young coaching staffs at LSU. That's just how it is. But overall, I love this hire. I thought that my number one guy was Jeff Grimes, but things didn't really work out. Coach O said he brought in his number one guy. It was top 2 targets, and they're the new coach at LSU, so it worked out for him. Also, he talked to Joe Brady, and Joe Brady said, "Hey, bring these guys in, interview them. These are your guys who are going to call that same offense we had in 2019." There was I remember this bit during the SEC championship game in 2019 when LSU was playing Georgia. The announcer said that LSU, as far as it went with the routes, they love running the 10 and 2 routes. Meaning they love running those posts and those slants, those outs. They love the 10 and 2 on the clock. And I thought that LSU ran that perfect in 2019. I mean, Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Justin Jefferson, you name all the weapons we had that year. They ran that perfect to a T. I think that Jake Peetz and DJ Mangus are going to kind of implement those same type of plays. I know we had Steve Ensminger this past season, and our offensive receiving core wasn't. It was probably the least of our issues last season. But I think we're going to be a better offense this year. We got more. I mean, hell, we just got. I think Ed Ingram announced he was coming back. Everyone on our offensive line is coming back for the most part. I think Austin Deculus has yet to decide if he's coming back, but we're going to return 20 out of 22 total starters on the team, and I think damn near everyone on the offense except for Terrace Marshall and Austin Deculus. But, I mean, that is still up in the air for Austin Deculus. I assume he's going to leave, but, hey, he hasn't officially announced yet. But, no, I love this hire. I think Coach O, he picked some interesting candidates who have a lot to prove for LSU football. But in other news, hey, Marcus Freeman, apparently the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati, flew in to Baton Rouge today. He's going to be interviewing tomorrow. And today he's just hanging out with the coaches, kind of getting, I'm sure he's getting the tour around the facility and the city and whatnot. And his wife came with him too. So, hey, the wife's got to help with that decision as well. But yeah, Marcus Freeman's interviewing tomorrow. I assume we will get the news on that tomorrow. I really will. I think that if he doesn't sign the deal tomorrow, that we probably won't land him. I know that Notre Dame has also brought him in to interview as well. I don't know if they brought him in yet, but I know they're planning on interviewing him for that vacant defensive coordinator position. I think that if he leaves tomorrow without confirming that he's on the LSU staff, I think that we don't get him. I think he's just going to stay at Cincinnati, maybe go to Notre Dame, or become a head coach somewhere, which, that is what it is. But if we get him if tomorrow, I think tomorrow we're the first guys coming up to him. I think we're his best option. That's what I think. I would love for us to get him tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be more news on it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm pretty optimistic that we're going to land Marcus Freeman as our defensive coordinator as well. And man, we're about to have a filthy group of coordinators next season. We're gonna have a bunch of young guys, which I love, and Rayshawn Davis, the linebacker out of California, who said, "Hey, if LSU gets Marcus Freeman as their defensive coordinator, that's gonna move them up, whatever that means." But hey, if we land Marcus Freeman, we're probably gonna land Rayshawn Davis out of California. So we'll have to see about that. Another news, I kind of want to finish is talking about Joe Brady one more time. I feel like I talked about him a lot this episode, but hey, I want to talk about my man real quick. So he had an interview with I think the Chargers requested an interview and the Texans requested an interview. And a lot of people are hating on my man, but guys, he's the real deal. He's the next Sean McVay. I know he didn't really have too much success this past season with the Carolina Panthers, but hey, this man is about to be 31 years old and be a head coach of an NFL team. He's going to be coaching people who are probably older than him, which is disgusting. But, man, if he was with Justin Herbert or Deshaun Watson, that'd be a filthy offense. And I'd be afraid if I was a defensive coordinator going against a team with those guys on it. So, hey, overall, great day for LSU. We got our 2 guys in offense. We still got one massive piece on the defense to figure out, but I think we'll figure that out here pretty soon. But overall, it's a great day, and I really appreciate you guys for listening. Hope you guys are all doing well, staying safe out there. I love LSU. You guys know that. I know you guys do too, all those who are listening, and hope you guys have a great day. Take care.